Hello, can you all hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good. Since we have a couple of new members, we should begin with introductions. Salutations all. I'm Rafe Johnson. I primarily teach physics and cosmology, although I sometimes cover the Survey of Religions course as well. You might be wondering why a science professor is leading a dictionary project.
Perhaps a little.
Well, my wife and I used to head this group as well as the science department. When she divorced me, she moved with my children to teach halfway across the country. There was a bit of a black hole in our leadership, so I stepped in. I bring two words to the fore each meeting, and we decide which one to remove from the prestigiously progressive dynamic dictionary. Our college has been consulting with them for years, and every 6 months or so, we open up this forum for new voices, but we've been having a hard time recruiting people lately, so I'm glad Freya and Lexi have joined us. Shall we jump right in?
Oh, it might be good for the rest of us to introduce ourselves as well.
Oh, yes, of course. I've gotten ahead of myself, haven't I? Go ahead.
Well, hi all. I'm Lexi McIntosh. I'm starting my own small adolescent psychology practice in town, but I currently provide support for your counselling team. I was intrigued by the sign about curating the words used by the next generation. I've been interested in words for quite a while. I came to the US for college and haven't really left since. While here, I accidentally took an etymology class instead of an entomology class, but that's a story for another day. Who's next?
I'll go. I'm Freya. I took some English classes with Dr. Billy a few years back. My undergrad degree here was focused on film semiotics, but the languages of pop culture in particular are my jam. That's why I'm currently starting on an interdisciplinary PhD. Anyway, I'm excited to join this group.
Do you have a favourite film?
Oh, so many. Some days it's a Miyazaki kind of day. Other days I'm all in for dissecting the complicated roles of women in early 20th century filmmaking. Like, I'm part of this 1920s group on Facebook. They are always posting pictures of Louise Brooks. She's so gorgeous and glamorous. The picture perfect flapper. But no one seems to realize how hard her life was.
I have a feeling we're going to get along just fine.
And hi, I'm Dr. Billy. I'm primarily interested in philology, but I dabble in teaching classics in the language department. I've been on this committee for the last year or so. My wife and I take turns being in this group so someone can be home with the kids.
How are your kids doing, Dr. Billy? Last time I saw them, they were so cute.
Oh, they're great. They're getting on each other's nerves a bit this summer, especially since everybody's been home since March, but the littler one is just starting kindergarten in the fall and loves to make up his own words. Just the other day, he and his sister were playing in the backyard, some kind of an imaginary world game where they could freeze and unfreeze each other by using made-up words like bizarre.
Well, that's sorted. Shall we jump right in?
Sure.
I thought we'd start with a somewhat simple choice between the words papilionaceous and verily.
That's simple?
Well, to me, it seems obvious, but perhaps others may disagree.
Well, papilionaceous means butterfly-like, and verily means the truth, really, or indeed.
Verily.
I've never heard anyone use either of those words.
Well, verily sometimes comes up in archaic texts. It's used when people are trying to sound Shakespearean, but I can't say I've come across papilionaceous before.
Verily. Yes, that's why I think it's a simple choice. I mean, what is truly butterfly-like other than the butterfly itself?
I could see papilionaceous being a beautiful descriptor for things like, like a leaf falling from a tree or fabric blowing in the wind, even the colour of someone's eyes.
Oh, that is quite poetic, isn't it?
Verily, it is poetic, but is it useful?
Isn't there use in beauty? We're so caught up in productivity these days, we forget that things like beauty, joy, and connection are also things we produce. I happen to think papilionaceous is a very evocative word.
Verily it is. But keep in mind, we are not removing the words from the language itself, merely from a physical copy of a particular dictionary.
Which word do you think a college student is more likely to need to look up as they're doing reading for class?
From that perspective, probably verily.
How many college students are using a physical dictionary, though? I just usually searched for words on the internet.
Well, that may be, but it is our job to consider the physical dictionary.
Are we ready for a vote?
Wait a second. I'm not sure how this usually works, but can I suggest an alternate word to remove so we can keep papilionaceous?
I suppose, if you can convince us of the logic of removing that word.
Okay. How about amsace?
What does that even mean?
That's a point in my favor. Amsace literally means both aces, like when you roll 2 dice and they both land on the number 1.
Oh, snake eyes.
Precisely. Basically bad luck or misfortune. It can also mean a short distance.
A Shakespearean word, is it not?
Looking up open source Shakespeare, and it seems it was only used in All's Well That Ends Well, whereas verily was used 13 times altogether in about 10 plays. Only once in The Tempest, but at least 6 times in A Winter's Tale.
Thank you, Billy.
Seems a good word for bad weather, though.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, amsace is an extremely rare word.
I'll admit to it being less used in general than verily.
It doesn't seem of much use to me. It's not easy to say, and hardly anyone would know what you meant if you said it.
Exactly. And we have simpler words which are readily available that have the same meaning, but we don't have another word for papilionaceous.
Yes, it does seem a shame to lose that one. It has a certain metaphorical resonance.
Well, shall we vote then?
Yes, let's.
All in favor of keeping verily, say aye. Aye.
All in favor of keeping papilionaceous, say aye.
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 All in favor of removing amsace.
Aye.
Aye.
Well, great. That settles it then. Good idea, Lexi.
Next time, we shall delve deep into whensoever and eftsoons, 2 words suggested to me by the powers that be, so to speak.
As in you received them from on high?
Well, from the head office, to be precise.
Oh, I thought you meant you got them in a vision or something.
Oh, you mean like the Avatar gets visions in the spirit world?
Ooh, I just rewatched those too.
Yeah, a vision of a pay raise, perhaps.
Isn't this a volunteer gig?
Verily.